Our first question is, which were your first thoughts after knowing that you were going to wrestle in a country like Spain in 1991?
Well, my first thoughts was that I was coming to a place that I had heard of all my life, and I was really looking forward to coming to Barcelona uh, to wrestle because I was in the entertaining business, and I knew that there was a lot of Hispanics there, and I was a little nervous because I didn't know how the Spanish people were going to accept me, but man, was it a great experience.
And how do you remember your match against the Undertaker in Barcelona in 1991?
Well, I remember that when I stepped into the ring, Undertaker was already a big name in the WWF. And the reaction, just with my introduction from the fans, man, it made me feel so good. I mean, uh, I had spent a few days earlier, and I had received the key to the city of Barcelona, and I had met a lot of different people, and they had showed me a lot of different places in Barcelona. The treatment that I got since I got there was first class, and a lot of love from everybody involved.
And how did the crowd react after you had just defeated The Undertaker?
Well, if you watch the tape, I mean, there was like a big explosion. It was as big as it got. I think there was I believe over 18,000 people in the arena, and it sounded like there was 100,000 people. I mean, it was unbelievable. The fans. I don't think the fans expected me to beat the Undertaker that night.
The fans didn't, but did you expect to win?
I expected to win, of course.
After the match, color commentator José Luis Ibáñez interviewed you and gifted you the mascot of the 1992 Summer Olympics, Kobe. How do you remember that particular moment?
Well, it was quite an honor because I knew earlier they had walked me through the arena. They also gave me some of the boards that they used for the basketball court uh, for the Olympics, and you know, to have the mascot. I still have the mascot at home, as a matter of fact. It was a real honor. I followed the Olympics. I was the main event versus the Undertaker, and the stadium, the arena was completely sold out. I mean, I believe they turned away people that were not able to get into the match.
And 2 years later, after that match, you came back to Barcelona in 1993. So overall, how would you describe your experience wrestling in Spain?
Well, overall, I was kind of disappointed at the position that I was in the card coming back. But Bret the Hitman Hart, I believe, was the world champion, and at one point they were thinking about putting the belt on me, and it was kind of a good feeling because I was not in the main event at all, and the crowd was the arena was probably half full. Nothing against Bret, but I think the fans would have loved to have seen me as the world champion and to come back as in the main event match, not in the middle of a card.
And which effect do you think that your match against The Undertaker had for the Spanish wrestling scene?
I think it affected all the people from. I think there was a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Spanish people from all over Spain, not only from Barcelona, and the great support that I had all over the place. I felt that, and I've got a lot of emails after that and correspondence. That the fans were really proud to have a Hispanic uh, on top in the WWF who defeated one of the top wrestlers at the time, the Undertaker. I think that they thought that I was going to be on top, and be carrying the Hispanics all over the world, because I represented Hispanics from all over the world, not only Spain or Mexico. I'm a Hispanic. My father's family was from Spain, and my mom from Mexico, and I believe that I'm proud to be Hispanic, and I represented every one of them.
Was the crowd in Spain any different to that of any other part of the world?
No, the wrestling crowd, to me, are the greatest fans. If they like you, I mean, they will fight for you. If they don't like you, they'll spit on you. And I got reactions from the crowd all over the world, the same, but like I said, when I defeated the Undertaker in Barcelona, I had never heard an explosion, and I still play it back and forth. The explosion of when I beat the Undertaker was like nothing else.
To a person that's not really keen on professional wrestling, how would you define what pro wrestling is?
Well, pro wrestling is entertainment by professional athletes who train really hard. I think professional wrestlers are some of the best conditioned athletes in the world. Other sports, they might play. In football, we play one game a week. In basketball, you might play 3 or 4 games a week. In professional wrestling, we were like on game condition 7 days a week. We used to wrestle 350 days. So, and some of I had matches that lasted 60 minutes. I went an hour. I would lose about 20 or 25 pounds in a match that lasted that long. We are the ultimate athlete. People knock professional wrestlers, that I guess they can say we're actors also, but we're professional athletes. At the time when I was wrestling, the fans believed professional wrestling was real, in most cases. It's a different ballgame now. Now it's totally been it's a TV production, and it's completely different. But we used to try to convince the fan that everything we did was real. In the meantime, everything was pretty close to real. So we took a lot of pride in what we did.
And in particular, what does professional wrestling mean to you?
Professional wrestling to me was something in my life that made a big difference, that changed my position in the world. As far as, I came from migrant workers. I came from working in the fields, from a poor family to being pretty successful. And it was because of professional wrestling. I was able to give I have 3 sons who have a great education. I live in a beautiful home, and I owe it all to professional wrestling, and mostly to all the fans, because without the fans, I don't care which one of us, we wouldn't be who we are without the fans.
And how has professional wrestling changed since you started your career until nowadays?
Well, it's now the professional wrestlers have contracts. They have benefits, health benefits. Us, when I was wrestling, we wrestled 350 days a year. If we got hurt and didn't wrestle, we didn't get paid. So we went in the ring with injuries. We wrestled and we traveled no matter what. Now I think they wrestle 4 days a week. We used to wrestle 7 days a week, and a new week was just the beginning of another week. We'd have very limited days off, and now they almost live a normal life. If they get hurt, they are allowed time to heal, and they get paid. They get their contract. it's different, and I'm glad for the wrestlers. We should have had that way back. It would be nice if there was a union for all professional wrestlers, because not everybody is making the big bucks even today. So a lot of guys that retire with injuries, and they find themselves that are struggling in life, like most people who don't have work.
And how did you start in the industry of professional wrestling?
I was a football player. I played college football. I played with the Kansas City Chiefs for a short period. Then I went to Canada and played for the BC Lions. And Tully Blanchard, who his father was a promoter in San Antonio. Tully Blanchard's father is the one that's planted to see that he thought that I could have a good career. When I went to football and I realized how tough it was to play American football, I told him I want to play one more year to Canada, and my thought was only to do it in the off season. But once I started training to be a professional wrestler, I realized, if I'm going to go for it, I'm going to go 100%. So I quit football and I went on professional wrestling, full steam ahead.
Is there any particular match that you remember fondly?
My favorite match was when I defeated Greg the Hammer Valentine in Baltimore in a cage match. Me and Greg Valentine had the longest feud in professional wrestling. And we wrestled each other for about a year and a half. We talk about real. We used to go in there and beat the heck out of each other, and people bought it. People believed everything we did because, I did have knee surgery because of Valentine, and the fans really got behind me, and that's a memory that will last forever. And again, that's another occasion. Again, there was over 18,000 people in Baltimore, not as big as the Madison Square Garden. But when I defeated Greg Valentine in the cage match, again, it was almost a similar reaction that I got when I beat the Undertaker in Barcelona. The fans exploded.
Which are the differences between fighting for WWF or WWE right now and doing so in the independent circuit?
Well, the independent circuit, they're very small cards. There is a lot of talent in the independent market, but there's only the WWE, and there's a couple of other organizations. So the opportunity for wrestlers to be discovered and to make it into the big leagues is very, very limited. There's a lot of talent that has not received an opportunity to wrestle in the big leagues. So I kind of feel for them, but at least you can go to an independent market and they bring, like, for example, if they bring me in, I'm the only one that's getting paid a decent fee. Some of the other wrestlers are not making any money and they don't get paid at all. Some of them get paid $35. Some of them get paid $50, and they're doing it, because they know that they have to put the road work in and to get the experience. So it's very difficult. You can't make a living wrestling in the independent market. You have to have a other income, another job. So to me, if you're going to make it in professional wrestling, you got to go 100%, and you really can't go 100% because you have to have a job, especially if you have a family. You got to keep bringing in income, so it's very difficult. It's a very difficult market. The WWE is so big, they have their own camp, and they put wrestlers that they think have talent under contracts, and those guys can at least survive while they're training and learning the trade.
And now to wrap things up, how would you summarize your career?
I consider myself very lucky. I was a guy who didn't have family in the business. I had friends. I had Tully Blanchard. I had the $1 Million Man. We also played in the same football team. Terry Funk and Dory Funk also went to West Texas State, the same university that I went to. But I did it on my own. You know, a lot of guys have family members who help them move up the ladder. I earned everything that I got. And I am so grateful for a lot of the wrestlers who helped me learn the trade, because wrestlers back then could eat you up in the ring. If you came in with an attitude, they were so knowledgeable, and they could eat you up and make you look bad without you even knowing that they were making you look bad. I was very humbled. I asked for help with every opponent that I had. And I asked for help, guys in the dressing room, to watch my match to see where I could improve. And after every match, I would ask them, you know, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? And I watched every match. I go to a card, I'd be looking through the curtain to watch, you know, wrestlers that were in the ring, to see what I liked that they did and things that I didn't like, you know, that I didn't do.
And to sum up, as our last question, what's the future for Spanish wrestling?
Well, the future's there. I mean, as far as wrestling, the Hispanic wrestlers are unbelievable in the ring. You know, I relate myself to. I never wrestled in Mexico, but you know, Mysterio and Rey Mysterio and a lot of wrestlers. The Guerrero brothers, they had that style. The things that they do in the ring, you know, is what Americans are doing now. You know, I think they copied the Mexican wrestlers. You know, there will always be a future for Hispanics. You know, there's so many Hispanic fans. You need somebody to represent the Hispanics, and you know, there's so many great wrestlers out there that are Hispanic. So I hope to see a world champion in the WWF, Hispanic background in the near future, but time will tell.
Thank you very much.